Congratulations! By clicking on that thumbnail, you're already halfway there to performing How Great Thou Art in a way which will completely blow your expectations. My 30 years experience of performing and teaching go into making these videos. I choose the most powerful repertoire which will unlock your potential. And by the end of this tutorial, whether you're a beginner or an advanced singer, you'll be singing How Great Thou Art with more detail and more power and more impact than you imagined possible. How Great Thou Art is such a popular hymn choice. It's the most recommended by BBC Songs of Praise. Whenever they hold a poll, it comes right at the very top of the most popular hymn polls. Personally, I get asked to sing this an awful lot, but the thing that really appeals to me about it is the power in the text. It's all about the story. Yes, it has a fantastic melody as well. The story and the descriptive nature of the text are just out of this world. So that's why I've chosen How Great Thou Art for today's tutorial. It may surprise you to know that How Great Thou Art originated in Sweden. So you have to picture this scene. A minister called Carl Boberg, the year's 1885, is walking along the coastline having come from church, and the evening is just starting to descend. Dusk is starting to come down, and after a calm day, a sudden violent storm ensues. And the wind is raging and the thunder is rolling, and it's quite terrifying. And then as instantly as the storm rolled in, it rolls out again, leaving blue sky, the most incredible rainbow that he's ever seen. And the birds emerge from this sudden silence to sing the most beautiful chorus. And he was so awestruck by the power of nature and the power of God that he immediately fell to his knees and started in his head writing the poem, which much later on became the version that we know of How Great Thou Art. And it's fabulous either as a hymn, you know, a congregational hymn, but it has that incredible melody, which makes it a perfect solo piece. So that's why I've chosen to do it today, because I know many of you sing in church. And if you follow this tutorial right the way through, you'll be singing like this hymn like an absolute pro. So I am going to speak the first verse to the rhythm, first of all. So this is with particular attention to where we're going to take breaths and pronunciation. So I'm going to go quite slowly. English is a horrible language to sing in. As a native English speaker, I say that. It's full of diphthongs and muddy vowel sounds. So I'll go slowly so that you can hear where I change all those diphthongs. So our first verse is, O Lord my God, breath, when I in awesome wonder, breath, consider all the worlds thy hands have made, breath, I see the stars, breath, I hear the rolling thunder, breath, thy power throughout the universe displayed, breath. Chorus. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee, breath, how great thou art, breath, how great thou art, breath. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee, breath, how great thou art, how great thou art. So that's the whole of the first verse with the chorus. The other thing I wanted to say is I've made a PDF of my version. So I found a version online that was public domain, and I've marked in actually on that some of where I take my breaths, and I've created a PDF which should be available to you in the description. It's in C major, so just bear in mind that I'm actually doing it down a tone from what's printed, but I've marked on there where all my breaths are and where my some of my emergency breaths are. You'll get the picture if you just have a look at that. As always, make sure that you warm your voice up fully before you start singing. This is actually quite a big hymn. It's quite operatic in its structure. So you need to make sure that your vocal mechanism and your body are fully warmed up. So start with some breathing exercises to get your body moving, and then start vocalizing. Look in the description because there'll be a link to my warm-up videos. So there's a full 30-minute warm-up video that you can do, or there's a quick 10-minute warm-up. 10 minutes is absolutely the bare minimum before you start singing something of this magnitude. And another thing that you can do, because the text of this song is so important, once you've actually got your voice working, a good thing to do is to really enunciate the text and speak it as though you were an actor on a stage filling a huge auditorium with your voice. So, oh Lord, my God. So really overemphasizing, and it's a fun thing to do as well. So get your warm-ups done and then join me back here. First of all, we're going to familiarize ourselves with the speed that it goes. So it's in 4/4. And I'm just going to sing the chorus so that you can get a feel for the time signature. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. I have chosen to do this in B flat major. I'll provide a link so that you can find a copy. The copy is actually in C major, which makes it very easy to read without key signatures. But I've popped it down a tone just so that the highest note isn't too high for most people. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder. So we're going to breathe after God because there's a comma there. And I think the important word to emphasize here is my. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder. And one of wonder. Pronunciation wise, if you're not an English speaker, some of those words are funny words to work out just exactly what the vowel should be. And I think awesome, wonder. So one is kind of like the way we say the number 1. One more time. 1, 2, breathe. O Lord my God, breath, when I in awesome wonder. And we're going to emphasize one of wonder. Next phrase. Consider all the worlds thy hands have made. So we're going to try and go through there. Consider all the worlds thy hands have made. Thy is our important word here, I think. And we just have to be careful with the H's of hands have. It's easy to drop those H's or not make them big enough. So we just need to make sure that the diction is absolutely spot on here. Again. Consider all a general rule, if you're not a native speaker of English, or even if you are, it's a good idea just to remind yourself that the is never an important word. So if you find yourself emphasizing the word the by accident, you just need to change the emphasis to another word in the sentence that makes sense. And if you go for thy, then that takes away the temptation of hitting the too hard and overemphasizing a non-important word. I'm going to put those together. Oh Lord my God, breath, when I in awesome wonder, breath, consider all the worlds thy hands have made. So after wonder, you need a huge breath because that's a long phrase to go through there. Next chunk, I see the stars. I see the stars, breath. I hear the rolling thunder, breath. So I see the stars. I hear the rolling thunder. So if you can make rolling sound dramatic, imagine yourself out there in the weather and just totally humbled by the violence of this incredible storm. So you have to bring that to life for your listener. I hear the rolling thunder, breath. And then thy power is going to be the next important word, throughout the universe displayed. So you need a huge breath after thunder. So I'll do that little chunk again and I'll go on this time. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, breath. Thy power throughout the universe displayed. And that takes us into our first chorus. I am going to emphasize sings, say of Saviour, great, how, and then change those emphases as I go through just to create variety because the text repeats. So if we can emphasize different words each time, then it's going to create much more variety and just change the way the chorus feels. So here we go. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee, breath. So you need a good breath because it's passionate. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee. Now there's a comma after God, but it doesn't make sense to breathe there. The comma is just for punctuation. My Saviour God to thee. So you just lift off that comma. You don't, so you're stopping the continuation of the sound, but you're keeping your air flowing and not actually coming to a complete stop and certainly not taking a breath. So then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee. And then your next breath is after thee. I'll just do that again. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee, breath. How great thou art, breath. How great thou art, breath. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee, breath. How great thou art, breath. How great thou art. So that's the first verse with most of the breaths and the emphases in place now. I'm just going to talk technically about a couple of other things. The very opening, you have a vowel onset. Oh Lord. It's really easy to do vowel onsets with a glottal stop. Oh Lord. because we want it to be dramatic and to have emphasis, but it's really not great for your vocal cords to be bumped on a regular basis. So let's try going for a smooth onset. And if you remember that my is going to be your important word, oh Lord, my God, that helps to take the pressure off the O sound. So we're going for a nice smooth onset. If you struggle with this, you can put a tiny little H in front of it to ensure that the air is flowing before you try and join the voice in. Oh Lord, my God. So that's our first smooth onset done. Oh isn't the sound that you're looking for. Oh Lord, my God. Breath. When I in awesome wonder, just make sure that we hear the M of awesome before we start doing the W of wonder. English is just such a hard language. When I in awesome wonder, breath, big consonant. Consider all the worlds thy hands have made. So consider all, consider all. When we are singing in English, if we're English speakers, we elide the R, consider all. Just barely touching it, but it's there. We don't do consider all and make a gap between them. We run them together, but we also have to be careful that it doesn't become consider all. So it's consider all the worlds thy hands have made. Thy hands have made. So just practice speaking that one. Thy hands have made. We need to hear the hands. The S is small. Hands have with a good V, made with a really good D on the end. All together. Oh Lord my God, breath. When I in awesome wonder, breath. Consider all the worlds thy hands have made. I see the stars. Another smooth onset there. It's a vowel onset. I is ugly and not good for your vocal cords. I see the stars, breath. I hear the rolling thunder. Here is a diphthong, here. So try and keep the E sound as the longer part of those two sounds, here. So the part doesn't come in until the very end. I hear the rolling thunder, breath, thy power throughout, power. So power is a funny one. It's two syllables normally, but here you have to get those two syllables to sound like one syllable because you only have one note. So it becomes power, power. Thy power throughout the universe displayed. Thy power throughout the universe displayed. The you. Again, you're eliding those sounds together, not the universe or the universe. The universe displayed. I'm going to sing that whole verse. Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, chorus, then sings my soul, huge breath, my Saviour God to thee. So we really need God to. So by lifting on that comma between God and to, that makes it easier for you to get those two consonants side by side. Then sings my soul, breath, my Saviour God to thee. How great thou art. So we're emphasizing great this time, so we'll emphasize different words, but this is our title as well. How great thou art. And thou art, again eliding through the end of thou into art, so there's no gap, and that will also help you to negotiate that interval. Thou art. So I'll just do that again. How great thou art. Breath, good H on. How great thou art. And I've decided to emphasize how that time. So we've had how great. Now we're having how great thou art. So I'll just do those two how greats. How great thou art. Breath. How great thou art. Then sings my soul. Breath. My Saviour God to thee. How great thou art. So this time I emphasized thou. How great thou art. Breath. How great thou art. And that very last time, great is the important word, and that's determined by the fact that the melody goes up to the highest point, so it's the climax of the whole song. So great is emphasized already because of that, so you don't need to overemphasize it, you don't need to re-emphasize it, should I say. So that's the first verse in all its detail, with real attention to the important words and where to take the best breaths to make the text as impactful as you possibly can. Having covered the first verse and chorus, obviously this is a hymn, so the tune all repeats. So what I've decided to do, rather than going through each verse technically, because a lot of the things are transferable from the first verse into the next verses, I've just decided that I'll speak through the text. Again, it's really because English is such an unpleasant language to sing in if you're not a native speaker. So I'm just going to speak the 3 verses remaining through, and I'll give you the places where to breathe and the syllables that you need to emphasize to bring the text to life. So verse 2, when through the woods and forest glades I wander, breath, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees, breath, when I look down from lofty mountain grandeur, breath, and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze. Then the chorus again. So the chorus you will do just as we did the first time through. Verse 3, smooth onset. And when I think that God, comma, his son not sparing, breath. So I would go through, and when I think that God, his son not sparing, breath, sent him to die, breath, I scarce can take it in. I scarce, it's a funny one. I scarce can take it in, breath. That on the cross, breath, my burden gladly bearing, breath, He bled and died to take away my sin. So the breath there is after cross, that on the cross breath, my burden gladly bearing, breath. He bled and died to take away my sin. No breath in the middle of that last one. Fourth verse, when Christ shall come, breath, with shout of acclamation, breath, and take me home, important word, breath, what joy shall fill my heart, breath, then I shall bow straight through here in humble is the important one, adoration, breath, and there proclaim, breath, my God, how great thou art. Just revising that last bit, and there proclaim, my God. You can breathe there if you have to. Actually, I wouldn't. What I've done is drawn a circle around that comma just to let me know that I would rather just point that comma so that I know it's there for emphasis, but I probably don't need to breathe. So, and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Thou is the important word. And then you have your chorus again. So that's the whole song with all the breaths in the right places now and all the correct textual and technical details that you're going to need to take it to the next level. I know you all know this. If you want to improve, you have to practice. But how do we practice? So with something like this, I would split it into verses and practice each verse separately so that each verse feels totally fluent, uncomfortable. Sometimes when we're focused on a particular technical thing, like whether it's how to hit a high note or what vowel to sing, we then forget how we should be breathing. So my advice would be to do all the technical bits, break it into sections, but then come back and practice taking the breaths really, really slowly and in a really calm, considered way. Because when your head is full of all the other technical things, it's really easy to get into that habit of rushing the breaths. So just go back and do a version where you focus only on the breaths and trust that all the other technical work is still in there and in your muscle memory. It will be. So now we've done all the hard work and we need to bring all of this information together for performance. Now, with a hymn like this, with this incredibly powerful text about Mother Nature, I think if you either imagine that you are that original Swedish minister, Carl Boberg, or you just think of an occasion where the power of nature has completely transported you, actually, then those feelings, if you can harness them and bring them to your performance, they'll colour your voice in the right way to make this text leap off the page and really impact the people that are listening. So it doesn't matter whether you're singing as a solo or you're in choir or you're just at home. It's really about allowing this incredible text to have the full impact on the people that are listening to you. Just one particular tip, which is specific to singing hymns. Hymns are often by nature for congregational singing, so they're repetitive. And they can become a little bit rumty-tumty-tumty-tum, rumty-tumty-tumty-tum. And to avoid that, you really need to focus on bringing out those important words. So make them a little bit bigger than you feel perhaps is comfortable. And it's unlikely that you would need to then dial that back. Usually people don't realize just how much emphasis they need to give those important words. So really push them out of the texture. And if they feel slightly uncomfortable, if it feels like that those important words have become slightly too large, that's probably exactly where they should be. And if you're in doubt, record yourself and you'll learn very quickly how much you need to push those important words out of the texture in order for them to really bring to life the rest of the text. Now for the really fun part, the sing-along, I will try and give you the important words and show you where to go through, and I'll make my own breathing a little bit noisier than I would normally advise. I just do that so that you can hear what I'm doing and where I'm taking those breaths. Here we go. Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When through the woods and forest glades I wander, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees, when I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Thank you for singing with me. See you next time. Bye. I love the conversations that I'm having with you guys on the YouTube channel. So please do like, subscribe, a little thumbs up even just makes my day. So if you could do that for me, I'd be really, really grateful.